The spell of Madame Bonja. In the bustling town of Ashawaboa, where the rustling palm trees whispered secrets and the scent of waki and grilled tilapia floated through the air, lived a peculiar woman known as Madame Bonja. She was in her late 50s, stout in stature, with skin the color of roasted cocoa and always dressed in fine lace and gold bangles that jingled when she moved. She lived in a walled compound house near the main lorry station, and what puzzled the townspeople more than her expensive clothes or commanding voice was the man who lived with her, a quiet, solemn young man named Bonja. At first, everyone assumed Bonja was her son. He looked to be in his early 30s, tall and handsome, with the broad shoulders of a village wrestler and the calm face of a man resigned to a quiet life. But the gossip mill of Ashwaboa churned fast. It wasn't long before word spread that he was not her son. He was her husband. Whispers in the town. No, no. It cannot be. Auntie Serwa gasped one morning at the Kenki joint. How can a boy young enough to be her son marry her, and the way she treats him like a common houseboy? Indeed, it was no secret that Madame Bonja ruled her household with an iron fist. Bonja was often seen walking behind her like a bodyguard, carrying her handbag, umbrella, groceries, even her small dog at times. She barked orders at him in public, "Bonja, tie my wrapper well," or "Why are you walking like a chicken without feathers?" The man never protested. He simply obeyed. His eyes vacant, his lips sealed. Some people pitied him, others laughed. But nobody dared confront Madame Bonja. Her tongue was sharp, and her reputation even sharper. She was feared and secretly suspected to have juju. The revelation on the road, one hot afternoon, as the sun bore down like punishment, Madame Bonja and Bonja were walking to the market. As usual, she walked proudly ahead, clad in a flamboyant green kaba and slit, with Bonja trailing behind her like a silent servant, carrying a basin on his head and a heavy bag in his hand. But as they turned a corner near the town shrine, something strange happened. A man dressed in a white cloth suddenly appeared. His face was serious, his eyes piercing like burning coal. Without a word, he stepped in front of Bonja, placed a firm hand on his head, and muttered something in a language no one around could understand. Suddenly, Bonja collapsed to the ground as if struck by lightning. Gasps filled the air. When he rose a few moments later, his eyes were wild with confusion. "Where am I?" he asked. "Why am I carrying a bag? Who is this woman?" He looked at Madame Bonja with no recognition. I don't know her." Madame Bonja turned around just in time to see the scene unfolding. When her eyes met the white-robed man's, she screamed a high-pitched, twisted sound like a kettle left too long on fire. Then she dropped to her knees, hands on her head, and started wailing incoherently. Suddenly, her voice changed. It became guttural and deep. She began clawing at the ground, rolling in the dust, her expensive lace now soaked in sweat and dirt. Foam formed at the corners of her mouth. "He is mine. He is mine," she shrieked. The man in white looked at the gathering crowd and spoke. "This woman," he said, "used dark spirits to bind this man. He is the son of her best friend. She stole him from his path and turned him into a servant in the name of marriage." The crowd gasped again. The secrets unveiled. Later, elders confirmed what many had suspected. Bonja was the only child of Auntie Deed, a kind, prayerful woman who had once been best friends with Madame Bonja. Years ago, Bonja had gone missing after visiting Auntie Bonja for a holiday in town. His mother was told he had travelled abroad, a lie that Madame Bonja fed her while she kept Bonja under her control. The spiritualist in white, known as Nana Kwaku Ofosu, had been praying in the forest for weeks when he received a vision about a stolen destiny. He was led by spirit to Ashwaboa that very day, not knowing who or what he would find, only that someone was under an evil hold. When he saw Bonja, he said the spirits confirmed it immediately. The end of the spell, Madame Bonja, was taken to the elders. The spiritualist cleansed Bonja with herbs, prayers, and water from a sacred river. Over the next few days, he slowly began to regain his memory. He remembered his mother. He remembered his life before the strange fog took over his mind. What he couldn't understand was why Madame Bonja had done it. But the elders knew. Madame Bonja had been alone for years. No husband, no children. She was once beautiful and desired, but over time, bitterness crept into her soul. She sought a son to call hers, and when she couldn't have one, she stole the son of her closest friend and turned him into a puppet. Aftermath. Bonja returned to his village, to the warm embrace of Auntie Deed, who wept at the return of her long-lost son. Madame Bonja, she was never the same. Some say she roams the markets, talking to herself, clutching old handbags and calling out for Bonja. Others say she was taken to a spiritual home in the north to be healed. But the shame of her actions still lingers like a sour wind. In Ashwaboa, the story of Madame Bonja became a cautionary tale. When love is forced by dark powers, it becomes slavery. And so mothers warned their children and elders prayed harder at night because evil wears many faces. Sometimes even the face of a smiling auntie in fine lace.